Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this may find you in the world or in the universe. It is your boy, Big Frank, Frank Handley, Elder Frank, Pastor Frank, however we met, however we meet, whatever can happen. Do me a favor, and just guys, tap in, share. Get ready to give a quick recap of the council meeting on yesterday. I was not there physically in attendance, but I did watch it online, which also lets me know that you also, wherever you are, you can watch it online and tap in. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to check my audio quickly. I did check it already. Just want to make sure we are doing our best good and our due diligence, if you will. So we're getting ready to talk about the city of Niagara Falls, and it's always a little situation. So, like I said, the goal of this video is really to do a very quick recap of some things that transpired at the meeting. We'll do that and we'll dive into it. When you pull up, do me a favor, say good morning, say what's up, say a word so I can see your comment. The way that I am set up here is that if you don't comment anything, I can't see anything. But say what's up, because my mama told me, maybe my grandmother, maybe somebody said it's rude to stare. So let's get right into it. So the meeting commences at 5:30, not 5:30, 6 o'clock. Dante Miles, Councilman Dante Miles, opens up with a word of prayer. But in his word of prayer, it wasn't just generic. It was very inclusive to the people's opinions, the people's thoughts. It was just well-rounded, even in the opening. Pima, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It was just very well. Like, it wasn't just a generic prayer just to get through. It really was a prayer about the voice of the people that encourage people to become a part. So in the beginning of the meeting, they have what we call, also in the meeting, Zajac was not present. Councilman Zajac was not present. And the reason why he wasn't present is because he had a death in the family. Okay, so just put that out there real quick. So we open up, and mind you that the beginning portion of the meeting, people are allowed to speak concerning specific agenda items. Now, we have a challenge. I do not have the agenda with me because traditionally they will upload the agenda online where you can look at it, print it out. And because I was not physically in the meeting, I don't have the agenda to read specifically, unfortunately. Okay, guys. So though I'll give a recap, there will be some missing information, but there's also be some valid points that will come up as well. So Janine Gallo comes forward, and she is the owner of Paws in the Falls. Now, Janine has a heart and a passion for animals and trying to provide care, and she has a facility that she does exactly that. Now, when she came up to the podium, she began to tell them that I need the administration to follow the same set of rules concerning the people as they have, meaning that apparently her name was mentioned repeatedly in conversation in her business, but there's a rule inside of the conversation piece that you're not supposed to be able to highlight any specific business, if you will. So she came in and brought her concerns regarding that, and she also just brought concerns about, that she offered to help the city of Niagara Falls when it comes down to this dog shelter and sheltering situation. So another speaker, Carrie, she was skipped. She didn't speak. And Helen, she came to speak regarding Gluck Park, but her location and her timing was off. So she'll come back at the end and give her breakdown of what's going on. So long story short, during this meeting, there's a lot of contracts just being solidified. So the agreement with Frankie Donuts to serve food to the inmates, porta potties. But what's happening is the agenda wasn't available online, as I said before. But what happened was just 24 hours ago, they made these adjustments. So the people were kind of confused about what was going on, and the residents began to ask for an explanation. Like, we hear y'all reading these agenda items, but we're not really clear to what's going on. Can you explain? And Perry, the chairman, says, I won't be able to address it now. I can address your concerns after the meeting. All right. So this happens to the agenda item. So porta potties has been approved. Frankie's Donuts feeding the inmates has been approved. But agenda number 5, we have a little bit of what we may call friction, right? What happens here is that the agenda is that they're trying to get an agreement approved so that they can have the pot killer, which is the machine that comes and sprays dirt and tar in the potholes for temporary result, like temporary a temporary fix. So Brian Archie has some opposition because the question is, why are we paying additional money for a task that should already be completed? I'm paraphrasing. What is the day-to-day activity of current public works that we are not able to fix the potholes in the city, even because we just purchased, excuse me, new equipment so that this could be done? So they're having a difficult time understanding why are we paying double or triple for this temporary fix that has not been proven to give us a real fix or resolve. So the lawyer says that nobody asked for any request of information. And back states that the pothole filler has not been very effective, meaning that it's spraying stuff in the potholes, but it's being kicked up and kicked out. So Archie then asks, what about the quality of new material? And also suggested evaluating what is happening in the public works DPW process. And he says that his beef isn't with the workers, but the challenge is, what is the day-to-day, and how can we be more efficient in getting things done versus just throwing out more money for a system that hasn't been proven beneficial. So now that conversation, Miles comes in and says, I want the streets to be repaired. I want the streets to be in good working condition. But he has a problem because here we are again in the city of Niagara Falls with the lack of transparency. So there are no department heads in the city hall meeting, which means if a council member has opposition or questions concerning a matter, there is no one present to speak on behalf of that responsibility. So we lack transparency, we lack openness, we lack these issues. So therefore, what ends up happening is we are repeating the same thing we did last year, this year. And Dante says that is the example of insanity, doing the same thing the same way, expecting different results. So it is Dante's hope that we are more accountable and that the department heads be at the city council meetings. Matter of fact, this is just my opinion now. If your name is on the agenda to be approved for anything, you should be present to be able to contest, to bring clarity, to bring an understanding to the matter at hand. But now I do church. We have different department heads and we have meetings, and they need to be present because when I ask about certain questions, certain concerns, I have to run to them for the answer. Okay. So long story short, They do not move forward on the contract for that. It's 2 yeses and 2 nos. Yeah, long story short. So agenda item number 6 and 7 are approved. One is for DeFranco Park improvements, revitalization. Agenda 8 comes with a little bit of questions, but not necessarily resistance. So the casino has petitioned to have their own detective. That detective is going to work for the nation independently. And what happens now is that the nation is going to pay for it. It's not going to be on the tax dollars agenda, or the city doesn't have to pay. So they approve the contract that they'll have their own law detective situation who can operate in the fullness of the law underneath the Seneca Nation's domain. So at the casino, they're getting a detective. So make sure you're not doing nothing too wild, too crazy. Be proper. All right. So Archie did ask if this went through the police union. The lawyer confirmed that it was approved back in December by the Seneca Nation, and funding is and they're funding the new position. So that was that. So, and Dante simply says, listen, the city's not responsible for it. We're not paying for it. But he also holds the conversation that's had to the lawyer that is present and says, listen, now you said this does not come out of the city of Niagara Falls. It doesn't come out of our money. I'm holding you to that. And with that, Dante approves because it don't cost us nothing, which is, I think, a wise decision or a wise choice. So now we get into the part of the good of the community. Now, this is the portion where you are able to speak on different items, different situations, and they're not specific to any agenda item. Tanya Barone, who's running for a council seat, hits the podium and she begins to criticize the people for the special meeting. For those who don't know, there were 2 special meetings had to approve the contract for a Grand Island shelter, municipal shelter, to handle stray dogs, stray animals. And they're getting $84,000. That contract is supposed to start in May. It'll end in December, and they'll need a new contract. They only have 10 available kennels, which I believe is 3 less than the previous one, where we had challenges. So, and also they have a segment that says, you got a stray dog. If no one claims a stray dog within 5 days, they're gonna put the dog down or the animal down. Tanya is just disappointed on how they are handling things, disappointed on the approval of the contract, disappointed on how people have just mishandled this agenda and haven't vetted the people, which is not an abnormal situation apparently in the city of Niagara Falls. We just do what we do. So, all right. So then Gloria Dosen comes and she calls for an ordinance. She's kind of, Daniel, hey cousin, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, because you might be wherever you at around the world. So Gloria Dosen calls for an ordinance because she's examining the city of Niagara Falls and realized it's a lot of junk all over the place. And when people come out of town, when they come, they see junk. She's confused about how can junk cars be on lawns and boats and all these things, but she's simply hoping for an ordinance to address that. And she also mentioned Gluck Park, which lacks signage and gates, and highlighted some traffic issues over that way as well. So another lady came up named Helen and with Coleman, and she began to speak about Gluck Park. For those who are watching, Gluck Park is a park in our community, and it like sits almost in the middle, and then around all 4 sides is streets or traffic, if you will. The concern is that there is no gates surrounding the fullness of the park for the safety of the children. This lady said that she sits inside her home, she looks at the park, and see basketballs going to the street. She's seen accidents happen, houses damaged, but she would like the city to look into that and to really put a gate up of protection around the park so that the kids can be safe when they're playing. They have half a quarter gate on one side of the park, but where that's about the basketball hoops. But where the children play on the monkey bars and on the slides, there's no gate there, and she's just highly concerned of how that is being handled. So, Janine comes back again, and what she begins to discuss and talks about is the piss poor. Let me back up here. I won't say piss poor. What I'll say is she begins to discuss what it really takes to maintain and to handle dog care and to handle strays and to handle these affairs. And she bidded on the petition to be a source of help. And she makes the claim, yes, her bid was the highest, but also she was taking care of a lot more than the current contract that is taking place in Grand Island. Because what you've done is taking a position that require multiple roles and you put all of those roles onto one person or two people. And that's the difference between this contract that she was offering and how she was willing to financially support it versus the decision they made to go to Grand Island. We need our own shelter, period. We need our own shelter in the city of Niagara Falls. And Carly, who's also running for council seat, asked the question, if Niagara Falls administration has done their due diligence when it comes down to these agreements. And I'm going to say this not because I'm present, not because I'm aware, so I'll say allegedly. It has been proven time and time and time and time after time and time that the city of Niagara Falls has not truly vetted. Now, this is crazy. I'm going to say this. Has not truly vetted and done their due diligence in these agreements and not have taken a full assessment of if this a person or individual has the ability to handle the request. Just been what it's been for a long time. So there's a thing called seeker, and seeker explains of how everything should be vetted and dealt with accordingly, according to section Article 8. He said some other stuff, but and he asked the question, have we done that regarding our dog shelter connections? Uniqua Lewis, she hits the podium and she announces that the fourth annual city cleanup day is going to be on May 10th. I believe that's going to be on 19th in Ashland. So you want to be a part of that, you can join. But she talked about her experience last year that they found a dead dog because the weeds and the grass was so high. When they began to cut it down, they found a dead dog. Now, that then issued a challenge because there's been a DPW, so I think that's the Department of Public Works. What happens is that they are tackling tasks that are unnecessary. Now, not the workers, but somebody from the higher up. So, quick storyline. There was a home, a lady who had flowers in a garden in front of her house, and she was tending to it and taking care of it. She was handling it. Long story short, DPW comes, Department of Public Works comes and destroys the garden or takes it up in the essence of cleaning. They didn't want to do it, but apparently from the top, it had to be done, but they ended up giving the woman a $150 gift card to Home Depot, hopes to repair. Yet there are buildings with grass as high that are not being dealt with or tended to. So those were some concerns. So Uniqua suggested that DPW would focus on the needs of the community and handle those affairs that are necessary and leave maintained property alone. Matter of fact, a guy came 2 weeks ago talking about I had two young men cutting grass for an empty field, but the city came and told them to stop because they get paid off of the fines. You know, everybody want to hustle. So, Lawrence Blaber, my guy, who's running for not city hall. He's running for a school member seat. He talks about the recent close of the Save-A-Lot in the city of Niagara Falls. And what he says is that he's coming to take some of the heat off of the city because as a realtor, he's in the meeting room behind closed doors, and he says that Niagara Falls is not a good place for business. And he says that there are conversations that happens behind closed doors that the people do not hear. And as a realtor, he's trying his best to bring business into this place, but they're not willing. Now, let's go ahead and call a spade a spade. Pop! We stealing. Stealing. We're stealing from Family Dollar, Save-A-Lot, Dollar General, Rite Aid on 10th, Alcatraz. You can't walked into Rite Aid on 10th, and everything is locked up except the tissue, or paper towels. Walk inside the store to go get my personal medication. The man is stealing. He is stealing the only thing that is open to steal, and that is the paper towels. What you're saying, what I'm saying is that when you are robbing a business and you're taking from it, it has a greater toll. Now, with that being said, Lawrence states that we have to provide a better experience for businesses in the city of Niagara Falls, period. But that requires a city to be innovative, to put in work, to provide space, to develop entrepreneurs, to innovate, to evolve, and to grow. That's what it requires, right? But also, what Lawrence says is the kids got to know how to read. And 20% of our kids are doing well, but 80% of our children are not doing good, and they can't read. If you can't read, how you about to work? How you about to work? So, things to consider. So, last but not least, Lawrence encourages parents and people to attend the school board meetings because there's a lot of information there that you need to know about your children, what's going on. And I also believe that you can watch that online. I'll get more information about that. But the SPCA got a little gangster. I won't use the word gangster. Last meeting, as they talk, or special meeting, they talk about the dog shelter, and they used some verbiage that said that the SPCA would be a backup. Reading is fundamental, will be a backup to the dog shelter situation. The SPCA pulled up and was like, hold up, that's not the case. The SPCA begins to explain that they understand that they had to cancel their contract after 12 years because they did not have the capacity to handle the amount of stray dogs that were coming in and the care needed, the care required, and they didn't want to just have to kill the dogs, because nobody's coming to claim them or there's no other function. So I'll pause here. So when you have a dog shelter, there's medical care, there's an adoption process, there's these other components that are a part of not just holding the dog, And what she said was, we are here for not a backup plan, but we're here to help where we can, which means that people are just talking out of the side of their mouth, lawyer, because you made the statement that they are a backup plan. And what they're saying is, no, we're not a backup plan, but if there's some special needs or some challenges that we can assist with, we will assist with. But the SPCA does not have the capacity, and this is where we get crazy at, because we already know that we need a whole lot of kennels, more than 10, because last time we had, I think, 13. That wasn't enough. Now we're being reduced down to 10. Watch this. But there's a shelter that's being built for 60. So do we need 60, 13 to 10? And we are making agreements for people to maintain something they don't have the capacity to maintain. The SPCA said, I'm simply here to help, but we are not a backup plan. We're not a fail-safe. Linda, blessings unto you. Not a fail-safe, not a fallback plan. What I'm telling you is that City of Niagara Falls, I won't say that we are in trouble, but what I will say is we need new strategies. We need new methods. There's nothing new under the sun. We need to apply the will that was already created in a better place. So much is happening, and the people are just trying to survive day to day. And if we're not doing our due diligence to make sure that things are well or proper, we are failing the people. Chris Brigatti is on a Democratic Supreme Court, state Supreme Court process where he's challenging the Democrats and challenging things, and people are getting ready to go to court on Friday for Democratic challenges. And I know that politics is already a messy game, but yeah. So these things is happening. CNAs are struggling as well. When I say they're struggling is because they are waiting for new contracts to be put together. So the 1199 SEIU union, they were outside picketing. They was picketing a couple days ago as well outside Our Lady of Peace. What happens is we need a contract. They need better pay, better involvement, and these things aren't happening. So in a world that we're trying to live daily and just survive, man, we have some chaos, we got some challenges, and we got some things happening that we just need to tend to and take care of. Listen, I thank you guys for rocking with me today. Hopefully that was a decent recap of the meeting yesterday. I encourage us to show up, be present. I said this before, I'll say it again. And I guess I can send an email blast out to the pastors. Send a representative from your church to City Hall. Why? We got, man, let's find out. Let me do something real. Let me do something real quick. Y'all wait, don't go nowhere. I'm about to just see something real quick. Because I be talking to chat real quick. How many churches are in the city of Niagara Falls, New York, USA? Let me see what I get. I'm gonna just see what I get. I'm just gonna see what I get. I'm searching right now. I'm searching right now. So right now, see what they say. So, whoa. There are over 60 churches in Niagara Falls. Yeah. Over 60 in just the city of Niagara Falls. Over 60. We ain't get the town. Over 60. So if one person from each church shows up, that's 60, right? And then let's go ahead and take two people from every, what we would call the projects, the old Unity Park, the new Unity Park, Center Court, Packer Court, and then a representative from block clubs. I don't know how many block clubs we really have, but if all these individuals showed up to City Hall to not only speak as a representative, but also report back what's going on, we can make some changes. I think the fire has been. Ooh, oh, I'm gonna say it. I think that sometimes as the church, we're so focusing on the church that we forget that we are a voice of reason and a light to the world. I think that sometimes we are churching each other. And I get we need fellowship, we need building, we need evolving, we need development. I'm okay with those things. But have we forgot about evangelism? Have we forgot about being present? Have we forgotten about putting pressure in the community that we serve? I'm gonna say this and I'm about to go because I got things to do. How many individuals from the location of your church attend your church? How many families, based off of your church location and the community inside of around your church, how many of those individuals attend your church? There's something to consider. So you're like, Frank, how you go from political to church? Just who I am. But listen, make better choices. Let's get these things together. I'll be reaching out with more conversation. I'm looking to have a conversation about the role of the Black church in the community. I said Black because, you know, the Pope just passed away. No shots fired. But there's a power that we have as a people and activation that's required. So I'm working on that conversation. Listen, you have a good day. You have a blessed day. Don't go nowhere. A quick word from our sponsors. And I'll holler at y'all. It's going down.
Menthol is not just a flavor. It's a manipulative way for big tobacco to target, attract, and addict Black Americans. Tobacco companies aggressively market menthol products using elements of Black culture, putting more products on shelves in Black communities, and making them cheaper. And it's not just an injustice. It's killing us. Smoking-related illnesses are the #1 cause of death in the African American community. Help us fight this injustice at notjustmenthol.org.